Greetings and welcome to Armored Core Requiem, the series where I take on players' submitted builds and optimize them to the best of my abilities. I've been doing this for a while now, and so far my upgrades have not disappointed. The process goes like this. I take on a player's submitted build, upgrade it live on stream for any viewer as well as the creator of the build themselves to add any input before the final verdict. And then I do this, I make the video discussing the original gameplay of the build as well as all the upgrade decisions, and then do a final PvP test to determine which variant is superior. So if you have a build you would like me to take a look at, you can leave a comment with the build information and or share code, depending on not if you're on Xbox, and yeah, I'll give it the good old Requiem treatment. However, if you want a faster result, you can find the link in the description below to the Xbox Fight Club Discord, or you can go to the Requiem workshop and post your build information there. There I'll get back to you much quicker with the upgraded variant, however I will not be giving it the YouTube treatment of going over every single change. You can ask questions and we can have a more personal, private conversation about the build's upgrades in case you don't want the build to be public, or you just want a quicker result without all of the bells and whistles of the video. But yes, all is said, I appreciate you all, have a good one, and enjoy the video. Greetings and welcome back to Requiem. As usual, we have two builds to take a look at today. Both were upgraded live last Monday, where I do the Requiem live every Monday. So if you want to chime in, add your own input on the build, share your own builds and see them upgraded live, yeah, feel free to keep me in mind for Mondays. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the builds. Alrighty, for our first AC, we have a mid-range, lighter weight or more medium weight bipedal AC with primarily coral weaponry. And for our primary weapons, we have the coral rifle, the Walt 011. Very solid rifle in a sense. It's very heavy, so it's a very demanding rifle. It has 3 attacks, normal charge and double charge. The double charge puts you into free aim and firing a gigantic coral noodle, which can definitely melt opponents, but considering it lowers your sensitivity, it's very hard to aim and get a lot out of it unless you're doing either range attacks or you're a big boy and you can afford to trade while firing it off. Next, we have the Coral Oscillator, a very solid melee weapon in its own right, as its vertical attack pattern makes it very favorable for landing attacks that some melees tend to have trouble with, as a lot of melees, similar to the Pulse Blade, Slicer, stuff like that, Dagger, have a hard time with verticality, but considering this is a vertical strike, it does make it very favorable indubitably, as well as it's very nice melee for melee canceling to get a lot out of your thrust if your booster has high melee attack thrust, that is. And yeah, its charge attack, although coming up pretty slow, it is high damaging, it gives off a mini stun, so even if you don't stagger the opponent, you'll still stop them in place for a second there. And yeah, it is coral damage, so we'll ignore all defenses. And yeah, also the beam tends to go through a lot of objects in the game. Couldn't name every single one, but it's quite a few, so it's worth experimenting with, running away from your opponent, hiding behind a building, and then going for the charge attack. It is pretty nasty indubitably. And then lastly, we have double coral missiles. This is a very solid missile in terms of damage and constant pressure. Since it does track pretty slow, you might think it's bad, but because it's so slow, it keeps up that pressure and the enemy have to keep dodging it. Either they just have to outpace it and keep their distance, or they'll have to do some tight turning, which is going to burn a lot of energy in terms of them dodging around it. And yeah, its damage, of course, is nutty. The only thing is it takes a while to reload, as well as fully charge up, and it is definitely worth fully charging before firing. And for the frame parts, primarily lighter parts indeed, although we do need the Ephemera core at this rate if we want to stay this light and have enough EN output, or generator output adjust to run the gear, as well as anything else will either, of course, overburdened or EN shortfall. So Ephemera is quite necessary for the current assortment we have. And with this current assortment, we have 9,500 AP, which is pretty solid. 1000 defense, not the best. 1600 stability, pretty alright for an evasive build, I suppose. And 330 speed, which is also pretty solid. But yeah, may make sense. We have 2 coral missiles weighing us down by a lot, so you can only get so fast, and the rifle itself. For the inner parts, for boosters, we have Alula. Very good for its assault boost and quick boost thrust, as well as natural thrust. For a build like this, I'd recommend something like the SPD, as it gives us a lot more natural thrust and is much better for more evasive play. But I guess if you want to go in for that melee, make sure you actually get it off. It is pretty wise to get that assault boost to get in and the melee attack thrust to land it. And for FCS, we have the Waltz, pretty much the best all-rounded FCS and or medium range assist FCS. That is if you have arms that give you a little bit of firearm spec to get it over the threshold. but even at that rate, it's so close to medium range that you probably won't even need it. And for generator, we have the coral, as it's quite literally the only gen we can run with this build. And lastly, assault armor, which with our coral generator will actually make the assault armor do more damage, similar how it will buff the pulse armor's durability when you have this gen on. And for the play of this build, just stay at a more medium range so we get above 130 meters, charge up your missiles, preferably even before you're in combat. And yeah, just keep spraying your Walt rifle, whether you use the charge shot, normal shot, or, supercharged shot, don't really matter. Fire off the missiles whenever, and maybe while they're running from those missiles, you can use a charge oscillator to hopefully either combo them or just hit them with it naturally anyway. Yeah, but really just use everything you have as more or less a distraction and pressure to land things like the charge or uncharged oscillator, really. But yes, this is the original build. Let's go over Requiem.
これがレクイエムだ。
And here we are, Requiem. For the weapons, I ended up switching the coral rifle to the much lighter and more base damage doing nebula, as we won't really be using the triple charge beam of the rifle anyway with this current assortment, or the previous assortment even. The nebula redshift does more base damage, a little bit slower in the fire rate, but honestly it's not really much of a bugger. And yes, still coral damage, so it's still going to just melt past defenses. It has a normal charge attack that is pretty nice with its AoE. And yeah, it's a nice substitute for a much lighter coral rifle indeed. As well as I ended up switching the oscillator to the Moonlight Redshift, as it is a much more favorable ranged melee weapon to fit with the rest of our kit. And for the shoulder mounts, I ended up switching the coral missiles to Javelin Betas, as these will serve the same roles of just constant pressure and great stagger buildup as well, especially at a more medium range. This is where they really thrive, and it matches with the rest of our kit. And these will come back a lot faster, allowing us to get so much more value out of them. And for the frame parts, going the Viral Head, the Alpha Core, Basho Arms, Mind Alpha Legs, all of these parts are fucking fantastic for this type of build. And with our current assortment, we have 10k 900 AP, 1100 defenses, 1700 stability. Now we're up to 350 speed, which is very nice for a more medium evasive kiting-like build like this. And we are running the Basho Arms, of course, to boost our melee damage, as well as their recoil control can handle the 15 recoil of our only rifle. For inner parts, for boosters, we have the SPD, very solid from our medium range kiting type of builds like this. For FCS, keeping the Walt, and generator keeping the coral. And I ended up switching the expansion to pulse armor, as it is much more useful in more scenarios. Alright, the playstyle is very much the same. Get that to the effective range, fire the missiles whenever, which will now be a lot faster because they're not coral and it'll take 17,000 years to come back. And of course, our melee doesn't stop us in place for as long, which allows us to get him off a lot easier. As well as you can probably just throw out the number 1 and then dodge away in case you know you're going to miss or you can't afford to trade with the enemy. And of course, you always have the charge attack with the Moonlight itself, which is very high damaging, but is a little risky to pull off indeed. So yes, this is indeed Requiem. We'll take a look at the next build, and then we'll do the PvP test. Alright, and for our next build, we have a medium weight, medium to close range, high stagger, melee punishing bipedal AC. And for our primary weapons, we have a dual ducats, very solid medium to close range, high staggering, handheld weaponry, indubitably. A little slower on the fire rate, but much more range than its counterparts, so it is a solid option, but maybe not the best. For the shoulder mounts, we have the LCB laser cannon, the heaviest laser cannon outside of the triple laser cannon, that is. Very high damaging, very slow fire rate, similar to the ducats itself in that type of nature of slow but strong. And yeah, it's very solid in terms of just raw damage. Its charge attack is mighty, and yeah, it's very solid indeed. And then lastly, we have the Moonlight, the normal Moonlight melee weapon, which is of course very solid for a more medium and close range melee option indeed. And for frame parts, nothing specific that gives our build a defining edge. Overall, just very nice parts for a more medium build. With the current assortment, we have 10,900 AP, very solid, 1200 defenses, also great, 1800 stability, also fucking solid, and 340 speed, which is also pretty nice for a more medium range aggressive type of build. And for frame parts, we have the Alula, very solid for closing the distance, as we are indeed medium to close range, more close range than not, although our FCS is the Walt, which is good for medium and close range indeed, so this build can definitely pull it off, although I feel like at more of our medium ranges, our ducats are going to start falling off, so you really can't stay in medium range for too long. But I suppose we have two weapons that on the back that can kind of serve that role once they just get out of range, but yeah. And for generator, we have the VP20C, very fast on regen, very solid for more builds that can stand there and shoot a lot, so more kiting type of builds. Aggressive, more medium to close range builds like this, I find you'll run out of energy very quick. It can work if you're incredibly light, like on Nakryer, because then you can use your jump or reverse joints. You can use your jumps for dodges when you're trying to regen energy. But for bipedal, it's kind of rough. And expansion, Assault Armor. And for the playstyle of this build, use your superior assault boost to close the distance to get more medium to close range. either break stagger by using just purely the ducats. You can use the ducats and the LCB, although it's going to be a little slow on the follow-up fire rate, but it's definitely possible. And then, of course, you can use your Moonlight outside or inside of stagger, all the good stuff. Very aggressive, very just get in your face, or at least get out of more medium range, so maybe they have to work to get close to you while you just fucking pellet them. And then, yeah, you can kind of use the LCB as a stagger punish, or, you know, as normal outside of stagger weapon. But yes, this is the original build. Let's go over Requiem.
これがレクイエムだ。
And here is Requiem. For the primary weapons, I ended up switching the ducats to dual burst machine guns. I find these weapons to be much better close range, high stagger weapons, as they have low recoil, allowing us to run arms like the Bastion, which will boost our melee, which of course we'll get onto in a minute. But also this fire rate just outmatches the ducats by a lot. Technically not as much range, but you're not really looking for range with a close range build anyway, so yeah. Next, I ended up switching the LCB to the LCD, diffuse laser cannon, as it is much lighter and much faster fire rate. Again, similar to what we switched the ducats to with the burst machine gun. Much faster, similar damage, very similar. In fact, the actual attack power is a little bit better, a little less impact. But yeah, this will allow us to be much faster and win the DPS race against other similar type of builds. And then lastly, just upgraded the Moonlight to the Redshift Moonlight, as it does more base damage with its normal attacks, and it is coral base damage. So yeah, that makes it very epic indeed. For the frame parts, we have the Virile Head, the Mind Alpha Core, the Bastion Arms, as it boosts our melee, as well as the arms can handle the recoil of our weapons, and of course Mind Alpha Legs. And with our current assortment, we have 11,500 AP, 1,200 defenses, 1,800 stability, and now we're at the 220 speed threshold, but that's because we changed our gen, so it is very much necessary. You could even get away with the build being at like 310 speed, indubitably, and it will still be able to perform quite well in my experience. So 320 is definitely a nice speed buff from that anyway. For inner parts, keeping the booster Alula, switching the FCS to Ocellus, as it is our range where most of our weapons will be most effective, as well as the Bastion Arm switching, now we definitely need it, and switching the generator to Coral, as we're going to need the capacity to keep up a fast bob and weave slugger type of combat indeed. And for expansion, switching to Pulse Armor. And for the playstyle of the build, very much the same. Assault boost in, use your primaries to build stagger, your laser cannon to either proc stagger or just do some passive damage, and of course your melee as a stagger punish, or even outside of stagger, as is very solid, the Moonlight, for in or outside of stagger indubitably. Alright, but this is Requiem. Me and my buddy Shattered will now go over the PvP. He'll be using the original, I'll be using the Requiem, and yeah, enjoy the fights.
Please, it'll be so funny.
I think it's still being discussed, but yeah, it should be pretty cool. Alright, Coral Man. Coral Boy. Or primarily Coral anyway. The rule was you had to keep 2 out of the 4 Coral weapons, so I figured the backs ought to go.
These weapons are like the full Oscar is the only one's really strong individually. The other two need like good pairings. It's not a good pairing.
It's rough.
Like that reminds me of like I remember I saw like a post on Reddit and I asked like, what are the S rank weapons? I was like, what do you even classify as an S rank weapon?
S rank weapons, probably things that are kind of like overtuned or just kind of good, and there's
Oh,
there
that hurt
like
a lot.
things like fucking what's it called? Oh damn, that barely reached me. Those heat.
Yeah, just got more resistant DPS instead.
I do got that DPS.
Ow, it hurts a lot. Ow. I was like, I think S rank weapons, like as a category, would just be weapons that are just very individually strong.
Like LCS probably in there.
Like LCBs, semis, stuff
Well,
like that.
LCB, yeah, they're super good, but their fire rate really cucks them nowadays. They're not as good as they used to be. Zims are probably
but
high.
still, like,
and they're
again, like, you still
burst.
get what I mean. It's a very strong weapon individually. You don't need to pair it with something else to make it work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I hate having cold gen.
I love it.
They're not
Plus,
my
you pretty much
preferred.
need it with that.
Do I have
10-foot
assault? No, I have
tech.
assault armor. Why the fuck do I have assault armor?
I don't know, man. I don't want a curl take so long to recharge. But it is what
The
it
reload
is.
things and this is such a pain.
No, it's not, dude.
I know I'm not fast enough to be able to kite properly.
No, you are. You are if you believe you are.
I can't afford to waste time charging these, so I need to fight them immediately.
Yeah, it'd be like that. So cute.
Just not a good
They're
trade-off.
both so
this is very
fast.
horrible or
Yeah,
nothing.
Coral travel time, like bullet velocity is hella slow. We're both so naturally fast. Oh damn! Clip my toes. No. No, man. That's the other guy.
I hit you? No, I did not. Of course.
Yeah, we're so naturally fast though. If we move to the side, we won't actually hit the rifle shots, which is.
I don't think I've hit you once with my rifle.
I don't think I have either, unless I get close
Ow.
like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I like the coral missiles as an aesthetic, with just mini nukes, but man, they take so long to reload and fully charge. It's just so rough.
Yeah, it was not restricted much to one video. Typically, because some people just might not care about Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, double melee builds purely. That'll be interesting.
I'll maybe just make it like just melee characters.
Yeah. Let's get it.
But I don't even have very good melee or anything with these arms.
I think barely nicked that one. Let's go. Dear God.
That worked. Huh.
Barla.
Damn it! That flipped. Oh. Oh. I love getting clipped for 900 damage.
It's pretty dope.
Can you just get staggered already, please?
No.
God damn it.
I refuse.
The wall is working against me.
It really is. I don't know. I mean, I get the whole, it's kind of the best for medium to close range. You know, bash shows, so your arms can kind of handle it, but still, it's like, you're not really doing much at medium range anyway, so it's like, the hell, man.
Okay, you close range is a better tracking than me, and that doesn't work out.
It is rough.
Oh. I missed, damn it.
Yeah, I got gravity on my side. I believe in gravity.
Bang.
Oh dear God.
God.
Order.
God damn it. I think you remember I have assault armor, don't I?
You probably do, yeah. Is it worth it? It's worth it. Nani. Nice.
Oh.
Thought I could diffuse cannon you.
Ow, that hurt. How could you do that?
Magic.
Wait, I had that charged up still? What?
Yeah, you know, if you spam the button itself, it doesn't uncharge your weapons. It's a common misconception that it
That's great, I didn't
kicks
know about
fully
that.
into it. Yeah, we were talking about it in the tournament yesterday. Common misconception indeed.
I've lost. I've too much health.
No. Anything is possible.
So remember we got Day Demon? Yeah.
But
Lost
yeah,
too
no.
much health in the exchange.
Yeah, but yeah, no, we were talking about it in the 3v3 tournament, me and my team, about like how you kick people in your charge attacks, even if your primaries won't go fully away as long as you keep spamming the trigger. Alrighty, and that is it for this episode of Requiem. If you have a build you want me to take a look at, feel free to leave it in the comments or head to the Armored Core Fight Club Discord and leave it in the Requiem workshop. All is good. But yeah, I'll have links to Shattered's art projects in the description below. So yeah, head over there and spread the love and all that cool stuff, as well as links to my other Armored Core buddies. But yeah, I'll catch y'all on Reforge. Have a good one. Peace.